Hello, Dragon Family and B Family, if you're also watching this. I have a special video for reaction. Now, just not usual like Smitty or, any other reacts. Funny, haha, Markiplier and all that bullshit. I'm not family friendly, as you can tell on this channel. I am main channel friendly. Um, Phoebe on her channel is also family friendly. She's mostly focused on cars and stuff. But today I'm going to be reacting to the Transformers 8 movie leak, Rise of Unicron. Um, yeah. Ever since Rise of the Beast, everyone's been excited to see what the heck's gonna go on. There's been some people on Instagram saying that Shia LaBeouf and Megafox is gonna be coming back, which I had high doubts because I know Shia LaBeouf does want to do a movie, another Transformers movie. I think. He's a lot older now. Um, Megafox has her own thing going. I think ever since she finished the second movie, she disappeared apparently. I don't know about that information. I'll probably have to ask her, email her what happened with that. What she thinks about it, what Shia LaBeouf thinks about it. Obviously, they don't know me. I don't know. Well, I know them as like the actors, but they don't know me, so I'll just introduce myself to them. Anyways, with all that, I'm probably joking around by emailing them. With all that, please be sure to like, subscribe, have VB's channel down below as well. If you do want to check out my main channel, links will be down in the description below. I do stream this on Twitch, as always, Monday through Friday, mostly. I don't stream on the weekends, even though I am today. This is basically Saturday. With all that being said, I do hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see y'all on the other side. Bye bye for now. Now, here we are. First look at the Rise of Unicron Transformers 8 movie. Now, hopefully, I don't get. If you see this video, I didn't get copyright by my person, anything. Paramount really hates apparently content creators for some weird reason.
Transformers 8 is one of the most anticipated Paramount movies in the coming years, and it's set to be a crossover with G.I. Joe. Even though the movie...
Which, by the way, I have no idea what the company is. When I searched it up, it apparently was like something to do with action figures with the military. I don't know.
was officially announced back at last year's CinemaCon. The studio has gone completely silent ever since. No logo, no teaser, not even a word from the studio bosses. It feels like the producers Steven Spielberg and Lorenzo de Bonaventura are intentionally holding back any details. And that's strange considering we're talking about a project meant to unite two massive pop culture universes. Despite the silence, rumors, leaks, and so-called insights have started to circulate online, hinting at major plot points. The biggest reveal so far is that this 8th installment will be the first true crossover with G.I. Joe. That actually lines up perfectly with where the franchise left off. In the post-credit...
Now, obviously, I've already watched the Rise of the Beast, which is apparently Transformers 7. Dang, they've made 8 movies. I just now realized that. They've made 8 movies since then. What? 2004? Maybe? If I'm correct, I'm going to research that right now. Give me a second. Transformers, can I... Okay. 2004, 2000, what, in 2008? If allowed? There you go. Oh, 2007! But there was a... Okay, so the first actual Transformer movie was it was an animated film in 1986. So the live action, so there was an animated series. So this is a real action was in 2007. Dang, from 2007 to 2027. 2027. 2027. That's next year. Wow. 20 years. Wow. I just now realized that. This will be the 28th year that Transformers
That scene of
has
Rise of the
been
Beasts,
created.
Anthony
Has been
Ramos as Noah
created.
gets approached by an agent played by Michael Kelly who invites him to join a covert organization. The scene ends with a clear shot of the G.I. Joe logo, making it obvious that the two worlds
Now, when I saw this, I didn't connect the dots because I didn't know who G.I. Joe was.
are
So,
officially connected. That moment was the setup, the
yeah.
bridge between these franchises, and a clear signal that a crossover was coming. Right now, it's already known that Noah has become a full-fledged Joe agent. The organization itself has apparently existed in the Transformers universe for a long time. We've already seen glimpses of their tech, aircraft, and weapons, always lingering in the background, hinting that they were there all along, just working in the shadows. But that leads to the biggest question around the movie. Can these two completely different franchises actually merge in a way that feels natural? Even though Transformers and G.I. Joe both come from Hasbro, they've never really crossed over in any major way before. Not in the animated shows,
Okay, so G.I. Joe is basically an animated kid like show, I guess. And then with Hasbro, and then Transformers is just like a wait, how did they collaborate before? Since there's a Transformers or animated version, or is that just a totally different thing? I don't know.
not in the movies. The only real precedent comes from a few comic runs back in the 80s, but those comics never made much of a splash with fans, and today they're
Oh,
mostly
okay.
collector's items
So
rather
they
than
were.
iconic pieces of canon. So yeah, the stakes are high. Pulling off a crossover like this isn't just about fan service, it's about building a story that makes sense for both worlds, and if they get it right, this could be the
Wow.
start of something way bigger than anyone expected. The plot remains a mystery, leaving questions about whether it will continue the Unicron storyline from Rise of the Beasts or completely shift to new conflicts. Some fans are even theorizing about a multiverse with possible portals and parallel worlds, but for now, these remain nothing more than speculation. As for the potential story arc, rumors suggest it's going to be extremely straightforward. The Autobots will team up with the Joes to face a common enemy, the Decepticons and the Cobra organization. The problem is, that sounds like your typical summer blockbuster setup. Clear-cut good
Basically.
versus evil, zero depth, and an ending you can see coming from a mile away. And in a time when the industry as a whole is slowly starting to explore new formats and fresh storytelling ideas, a plot like that just feels painfully dull. Look at what Marvel's doing. Despite all the hate, they're at least trying to shake things up, playing with the multiverse, bringing back Robert Downey, taking wild swings with characters like Spider-Man and Deadpool. Even Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible are starting to wear thin with audiences, and you could feel it in the last movie. And Fast and Furious? That franchise is basically on life support, yet Universal
Yep.
keeps dragging it along, reviving characters, introducing cartoonish villains, and forcing the same aging cast into recycled scenes. And now, in the middle of all this, Paramount is dropping a crossover between two franchises that, let's be honest, are far from perfect themselves, so why make just another formulaic action movie? If Transformers 8 wants to hit hard, it can't just throw the Autobots and Joe into the same frame and call it a day. This crossover needs to be smart, thoughtful, and carefully crafted. It can't just be another film about two teams uniting to fight evil. That kind of storytelling hasn't worked in years. What audiences want now is a layered narrative, a world that feels lived in and believable, not 2 hours of empty fan service. Otherwise, the movie
Yep.
might rake in a decent 200 to 300 million, maybe break even on the budget, and then vanish from the public consciousness within a week of release. But
Possibly.
if Paramount takes a bigger swing, if they go all in on expanding the universe, crafting real motivations, and deeply integrating the Joe mythology into the world of Transformers, then the movie could actually stand out, and not just at the box office, but as a turning point that brings both franchises back to life. Despite all the rumors and leaks flooding, Paramount continues to stay completely silent. There's no confirmed plot, no production updates, not even any real word on where they are in the script writing process. What we do know is that Derek Connolly has officially been brought on as the screenwriter, and that's actually a pretty interesting choice. He's already proven himself on big budget CGI-driven projects like Jurassic World and Detective Pikachu. So far, he hasn't made any comments about his involvement, but just having his name attached brings a bit of hope. He's someone who knows how to build visually spectacular stories on a massive scale. Still, even with a screenwriter in place, it's pretty clear that a lot of major decisions haven't been made yet. There's no director attached at this point. Stephen Caple Jr., who directed Rise of the Beasts, has expressed interest in returning to the franchise. He even hinted that he originally wanted to introduce a mysterious villain in a post-credits scene, but the studio told him it was too soon. That small detail sparked a wave of fan speculation. Was he talking about Megatron or Cobra Commander? We don't know for sure. But the fact that they did leave in that direct nod to a Joe crossover tells us that the plan to unite these universes has been on the table for a while, and it's probably still moving forward behind the scenes. Given how things are shaping up, it's unlikely the crossover will hit theaters before 2027. But if Connolly really leans into what made both franchises work in the first place, there's a shot this doesn't turn into just another cookie-cutter blockbuster where good guys team up to beat the bad guys. The film will need more than that to really stand out. It'll need a gripping story, cliffhangers, bold and unconventional characters, and most importantly, moral tension, the kind of grey area storytelling that's been missing from recent Transformers. When Michael Bay first dropped Transformers back in 2007, he genuinely changed the blockbuster game. That first film pushed the boundaries of what could be done with CGI and practical effects. Sure, the story was basic, but visually it was mind-blowing for its time. That's part of why Bay's original trilogy became so iconic. But fast forward to Rise of the Beasts, and a lot of fans walked away, disappointed. They were hoping for something fresh, something that would push the lore further, but instead got a pretty by-the-numbers installment. Even the CGI, which was supposed to be a major selling point, didn't hit nearly as hard as it did in earlier entries like Age of Extinction or The Last Knight. If Transformers 8 wants to recapture the magic, and not just financially but culturally, it needs to go all in. Right now, Paramount has no choice but to breathe new life into the franchise and bring back the vibe that made it one of the most iconic series in its prime. Despite everything, Transformers remains one of the highest grossing franchises in history. But ever since the studio tried a different approach with Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts, the box office results have been underwhelming. The most disappointing outcome has been Transformers 1, which barely made back its budget and ended up as a flop. That's clearly not the result Paramount was hoping for, and it's something they'll need to address moving forward. At this point, the studio has to learn from those missteps and deliver a crossover that isn't just about cashing in on fan service. This needs to be an engaging storyline that seamlessly brings together all the characters. It's not about nostalgia or cheap thrills. It's about creating something that feels fresh and essential. One thing is certain, the surviving characters from Rise of the Beasts will likely return. That's a sign that both Rise of the Beasts and Bumblebee will be canon moving forward. We won't be looking at a reboot, but rather a continuation. Crossover will be a logical extension of the events we've already seen, not a whole new alternate universe to explore. For Paramount, the stakes couldn't be higher. They've got the opportunity to revitalize Transformers and Joe in a way that could bring both franchises back into the spotlight. But if they don't get it right this time, it could be the final nail in the coffin for the cinematic universe. Bumblebee essentially became a soft reboot for the entire Transformers. With its release, it became clear that the Bayverse was in the past and a new timeline had emerged, one that felt fresher, more reimagined, and separate from the heavy, overcomplicated mythology built by Bay. Paramount was trying to give the universe a second chance by stepping away from the saturated, overwhelming lore that had been built up and focusing instead on more human, character-driven stories with an emotional core. In a similar vein, G.I. Joe also had its own soft reboot. In 2021, Snake Eyes with Henry Golding hit theaters. This film focused on one key character and aimed to refresh the universe. There were plans for more origins and new Joe projects, but Snake Eyes underperformed at the box office and didn't meet the studio's expectations. Despite that, the fanbase responded warmly, and Golding himself has expressed interest in returning to the role. Interestingly, he's even mentioned that he'd love to see his character alongside the Transformers. At the time, Golding's words seemed like nothing more than an actor's enthusiasm. Many brushed it off as wishful thinking, but now that the crossover is officially in development, it's becoming clear that even back in 2021, the project...
I've never watched Snake Eye, and my first thought was like, are the eyes snake-like, or what is it, like a kung fu like movie,
Project may
or
have already been in the early stages of
ninja
conceptual planning, and that
ninja
makes sense.
ninja
Despite Snake
movie?
Eyes deviating from the original canon, it was still generally seen as a solid attempt to modernize the character and the
Okay,
brand.
seems
Golding is a fitting
like
choice for the
a
role, especially given
ninja
his
kind of movie.
recognizability and charisma. While there has been no official confirmation of his return, rumors suggest that he's indeed on the studio's radar for the crossover. Everything will depend on his availability and, of course, the decisions made by the producers. As for the cast, things are starting to take shape. It's almost certain that Anthony Ramos will return. We also expect the key Autobots, Mirage, Optimus, and Bumblebee. The rest of the team may either be replaced or augmented with new faces. When it comes to the Decepticons, the big question is whether Megatron will make an appearance. He's been absent from the screen since the last night, and fans are clearly eager for his return. However, considering the franchise is undergoing a reboot, it's possible the studio may focus on different villains to avoid rehashing the same cycle as in the Bayverse, where
No,
Megatron
they have to
constantly
bring him
found his
back.
way back to the center of the action. Interestingly, there are rumors that Chris Hemsworth might
Yay!
join the
Like,
project. However, it seems he won't be voicing Optimus like he did in Transformers 1. Instead, he might take on the role of a human character. Unofficial sources suggest that Hemsworth could play Duke. Neither the studio nor the actor have commented on this, but given the scale of the project, bringing in a big-name star makes perfect sense. On the production side, things are even more exciting. Steven Spielberg is returning, this time as an executive producer. This is truly inspiring. His approach to blockbuster filmmaking, along with his vast experience and sense of scale, could have a huge impact on the final product. Alongside him, Michael Bay will also be involved as a producer. This
oh,
indicates that the
good.
studio wants to blend the best of both. Bay's visual power and energy with Spielberg's more thoughtful and meticulous approach.
By the way, Michael Bay, if you don't know, he was in his own movies for what, one, two, three? All of when Shia LaBeouf was in, I think. Unless he was in Last Night too, and the other movie with the guy in it before they changed into another character.
Currently, the crossover is in the conceptual stages, and it's likely that Derek Connolly is already deep into the script. As for the director, the studio hasn't yet made a decision. It's possible that Stephen Caple Jr. will return, but there's also the possibility they'll bring in a fresh face to offer a new perspective. It's still too early to tell. For now, that's all we know about the upcoming crossover, but one thing is clear, the studio is
So,
betting big on uniting these universes, and if everything goes according to plan, we could be looking at one of the most ambitious blockbusters of the next few years.
so what I'm getting from this is basically when did Michael Bay? I wonder, Michael. Okay, so he was in Dark of the Moon, Bumblebee, Revenge of the Fallen, Last Night, Age of Okay, so he was in those two that fucking Mark Wahlberg was in. Okay, so he did direct when Mark was in the. Okay, I didn't know. Huh. So then he was in all of them until Rise of the Beast, and then oh, he was in Bad Boys too. Oh, he was in Rise of the Beast and in Transformers One. Okay, so he was in all of his. It was in all of his movies. Only was in his actual like first three movies in that performed for first three movies, and then did not did the rest of them. Makes sense. Because like I said, they didn't want him to do that anymore. Wow, he did a lot. Did he like? Do a lot of movies? Did he direct a lot of movies, rather? Sorry. Oh. Oh, yeah, that would, yeah, okay, so, yeah, no. If he doesn't want to act in large scale blockbuster or relevant blockbuster films, then he wouldn't be showing back up. He ain't coming back. What? Oh. So he was pressured as a child to act as, or to do an act, to be an actor. And yeah, PTSD and alcoholism. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna end the video right here.
Though it made her
No, I'm gonna end the video right here. Sorry, I haven't. You'll see the last bit of this. Anyways, with all that being said, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. And as always, be Dragon Family and be family. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.